All right, we begin with Chaos Zero. Tagline, unpredictable, beware. So I've played with this protocol a few times online, and I can attest that this is true to its namesake. If you want a more chaotic, dare I say silly game, include this as one of the protocols in your game. All right, we're starting with Chaos Zero. I'm gonna cover each card from top to bottom. This is more of a fun fact, just so people know some lingo here. This top command is known as the persistent command, the middle command is known as the immediate command, and the bottom command is known as the auxiliary command. But I'm just going to say top, middle, bottom, especially because that's how the cards refer to each command. So it's more of a little fun fact of how they refer to them in the rules. All right, so Chaos Zero, no top command. Middle command, in each line, flip one covered card. All right, so quick note on this. I have one of the earlier printings of main 2. I did not have one of the earlier printings for main 1. This command freaked me out a little bit when I first read it, since no other command reads this way, and the text has since been errated. It works exactly the same way, but now reads flip one covered card in each line, and it should reflect this on future printings, so they just made it more in line with how other commands are written. As for the command itself, it is well known that covered cards, which I like to call protected cards in my head, are generally harder to manipulate. So it seems like Chaos is already trying to be a bit of a rebel. I imagine the primary use for this command would be to turn off your opponent's pesky, persistent top commands or turning on your own. Please do note that flipping a face down metal 6 with Chaos Zero does not delete the metal 6. So if it was face down already and it happened to be covered and you flip it over, it does not delete. This is because metal 6 is looking for when it would be covered, not whether it is already covered. So we're already past the window. All right, now for the more exciting aspect of Chaos Zero, in my opinion, the bottom command here. Start step, draw the top card of your opponent's deck. Your opponent draws the top card of your deck. So here it is, the absolute chaos. The cool thing about this is that it happens at the beginning of every one of your turns. So I remember playing a game that I think had like chaos, love, assimilation, luck. It was absolutely ridiculous. By the end of the game, I don't think I even had half the cards that had started in my own deck. And it was hilarious and very, very memorable. I've also seen one player who managed to consistently cover Chaos Zero after the first sentence. So they made it so that they only draw the top card of their opponent's deck without giving anything in return. I believe they were comboing with Spirit 3, which reads that after you draw cards, you may shift this card even if this card is covered. So these two probably make for a pretty cool combo. So yeah, this card is great and we're off to a great start here. All right, Chaos 1, no top command. Middle command here. Rearrange your protocols, rearrange your opponent's protocols. So please keep in mind that when a card says rearrange like this, you have to make a change. In this case, you cannot leave either yours or your opponent's protocols the way that they were. Do not try to shirk your duties as an agent of chaos. And we have no bottom command here. Chaos 2, no top command. Middle command, shift one of your covered cards. Pretty straightforward. Again, Chaos being a rebel by manipulating covered cards. It's interesting that both this and Chaos Zero can only target covered cards and can't target uncovered cards. We have no auxiliary command on this one. Chaos 3, no top or middle command. Bottom command, this card may be played without matching protocols. Once again, Chaos is just trying to be a rebel. This card is basically saying, screw the most basic rules of the game, just play me face up anywhere to any line. Well, on your side of the field anyway. I gotta say that I love the thematic and mechanical implications of each card in this protocol so far. You'll find that I'll get that feeling a lot as we go through the rest of main 2. Alright, Chaos 4, no top or middle command. Bottom command, end step, discard your hand, draw that many cards. Once again, an agent of chaos, although this one is pretty much just to yourself. It's kind of funny, this card isn't really a strict upside or downside. It'd be highly dependent on the situation, which in my opinion is exactly where you want most 4s to be. 4s tend to be either highly situational or relatively neutral in their effects. And this is a great one in that regard, and the effect is very thematic, very well done. And finally, Chaos has your typical 5 with no persistent command, discard one card as its middle command, and no bottom command. Overall, this is a super cool protocol to start out with, and I'm very happy that this is in the game. We're going to be going in alphabetical order here, so this is just a really cool one to start out with. I'm very happy with this. All right, next up we have Clarity. I can see my path clearly. Before we get into anything else, I gotta say this is one of my favorite arts just for how striking the colors are. I think Clarity, thematically, mechanically, is all about giving more information to both of the players about the state of the game. What I find fascinating about this protocol is that it feels like it has a lot of potential, like a potentially high skill ceiling just for what it enables. Now, I'm not sure if that's true or not, but hopefully soon you'll see why I might get that impression. All right, Clarity 0. Top command. Your total value in this line is increased by 1 for each card in your hand. So this is a pretty straightforward command, and thematically I think it makes sense since you're being rewarded for having more information, i.e. more cards in your hand. This is one of those cards that you gotta watch out for and pay special attention to since it does have a variable value. I imagine most of the time it'll be worth around 3-ish value when it comes time to compile, but I do wonder how good or bad of a play it'd be to slam it down right before a refresh. Maybe cards that give you a free refresh would synergize well with this. We have no immediate or auxiliary command here with Clarity 0. Clarity 1 looks like it'll have the full gamut of commands here. Persistent command. Start step. Reveal the top card of your deck. You may discard the top card of your deck. So here we get to surveil, which is Magic the Gathering lingo for those who don't know. You do get to do a little bit of deck thinning and looking for the cards that you actually want every single turn. That's awesome. Although you'll still have to refresh or use some other effect, well, like this card's bottom command here, to draw. If you're playing this, you'll probably want a good idea of what you should be looking for in any given scenario, which hints a little bit at what I was getting at earlier with the whole skill ceiling thing I mentioned, but this is just the beginning. Middle command, your opponent reveals their hand. Straightforward, although I feel like the newer you are to the game, the less useful this sort of effect is. Or if you're like me and are terrible at remember or tracking where cards are. And then bottom command, when this card would be covered, first draw 3 cards. So this is a sweet card. I mean, so your start effect should happen at least once before you get a chance to cover this, meaning you have a higher chance of drawing something you actually want. Keep in mind that you draw cards in a batch in this game, so if you have an effect like when you draw cards, you don't get to trigger that effect for each card. But overall, very cool one, even cooler than the 0 in my opinion. All right, Clarity 2, no top command. Middle command, reveal your deck, draw 1 card with a value of 1, revealed this way. Shuffle your deck, play 1 card with a value of 1. All right, so there's a lot of interesting things going on here. First off, reveal your deck is a funny effect to me. I've played against people who are really good at tracking where all the cards are, and sometimes they've been like, just show me your hand, it'd be faster. And they get the same information. However, revealing your deck can be different in some situations. So for example, if you somehow got one of your opponent's cards into your deck without them seeing which card it was, which might be more possible in this set here. More importantly, you get to pick and play a 1 card from your deck. Of course, you might be able to choose Clarity 1, but I wonder how worth it'd be to play with other protocols that you know have particularly good and synergistic 1s. I feel like you can't have a discussion about 1s in this game without talking about Water 1 here, which just comes to mind for how generally good it is. Something like Love 1 could also be really funny if you're really trying to deck out your opponent, which is possible, by the way. I'm ashamed to admit that it's happened to me. Again, knowing which protocols to play with this and how to use them optimally feels like another skill ceiling aspect to this protocol, which is really, really cool. All right, and we have no bottom command. All right, Clarity 3 follows in the footsteps of Clarity 2. No top command. Middle command, reveal your deck. Draw 1 card with a value of 5 revealed this way, shuffle your deck. So a lot of interesting things here compared with Clarity 2. With Clarity 3, we only draw the card, we don't get to play it for free. Drawing a 5 instead of a 1 is also very interesting because 5s kind of have a weird place in this game. So obviously 5s are a lot of value, but discarding a card can be annoying a good amount of the time. Typically, I like to discard another 5 in my hand if I have it. You can mitigate the downside of a 5 by playing it as a last card in your hand, since in compile, commands are effects, not cost. You always do as much as you can, but you're not prevented from playing a card just because you can't fulfill an effect. However, this can also be kind of awkward because it means your next action is almost always a refresh, and your opponent knows you can't really respond to their next play since you have no hand, so it can be pretty risky. But it's still at least thinning your deck, so because of all that, I find this card kind of difficult to evaluate. I still like it though, just don't forget your opponent will know about that 5 in your hand, unless that opponent is me and I'll forget. Also, no bottom command. Alright, Clarity 4, no top command. Middle command, you may shuffle your trash into your deck. Again, seems like the kind of effect that can be helpful or hurtful depending on the situation, which again adds to the whole skill ceiling feeling I keep getting with this protocol. And no bottom command. And we end with our typical 5 for clarity. All right, so again, I really like this protocol thematically, mechanically, and I like what I think it's doing for the game. I say think because I'm not 100% sure I'm right about the whole skill ceiling thing, but I hope I am. I feel like this protocol could make for some pretty impressive plays and combos. All right, next up we have Corruption. One bad apple spoils the bunch. You're about to see one of the most unique cards in the whole set. Before I show you, I want to just say a couple things. First off, I'm making this video just so people have an easy way to see what all is in the box before they actually buy it, and also to give some rules, insights along the way. So those are the primary purposes of this video. The purpose of this video is not to evaluate the power level of any of the cards or protocols, and while I'm having fun giving my impressions, it's just to make this video a little more entertaining. Also, secondly, I saw people in the last video asking why I use sleeves. It's true that the cards are very nice, high quality PVC sleeves that probably won't curl from the foiling, and they feel very nice, so you probably don't need sleeves. I use them because at this point I actually find it easier to handle and shuffle sleeved cards, and that's really it. So if you're wondering what kind of sleeves I use, it's the Dragon Shield clear sleeves for the protocol cards, and then the Dragon Shield clear matte sleeves for the command cards. Alright, sorry for that interruption. Back to Corruption. Corruption, one bad apple spoils the bunch. This protocol is very interesting and you're going to see why right now. We start with Corruption 0. Persistent command. Start step, flip one face up covered or uncovered card in this stack other than this card. Now this is very interesting because this seems like a very bad command. For 0 value, you're having to slowly flip all your face-up cards face down. Why would we want that? Well, we have no immediate command, but the auxiliary command here might give us some insight. You may play this card in any line on either player's side. Now this is sweet. Easily one of the most unique cards we've seen so far. The idea is that you play this to your opponent's side and slowly eat away at one of their lines. They'd have to delete, return, or flip the card to get rid of the effect. Not only that, but it ignores protocols similar to Chaos 3. So such a cool command card. We're off to a strong start here. Corruption 1, no top command. Middle command, return one card. Alright, so it seems pretty straightforward, but it becomes less so when we read the auxiliary command. When a card would be returned to your opponent's hand, put that card on top of their deck face down instead. Now I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of returning in general most of the time. That's just a personal thing. It can often be dangerous since you're giving your opponent an immediate command back, and you might be activating the immediate commands beneath the cards that you return. It only feels like a minor tempo swing most of the time. I'd personally always rather just have a delete or maybe even a flip. But this makes returning cards become a sort of pseudo delete, and that's really cool. So I imagine there's some fun synergy with protocols such as with like, imagine this with Water 3, for example. Where's Water 3? So I imagine there's some fun synergy with protocols such as with Water 3 here, for example. So yeah, I really like the design of this one. Also keep in mind this can only target uncovered cards. All right, Corruption 2, top command. After you discard cards, your opponent discards one card. And the next command synergizes with this, so I'll read that right now as well. Middle command, draw one card, discard one card. So at a minimum, you play this and you'll draw a card, discard a card, and force your opponent to discard one card, assuming they have any cards in hand. That's pretty cool, pretty straightforward. I'm sure you can play with other protocols that like to discard, like Plague, Fear, Psychic, and you can, make your opponent hate you. That sounds like a good time. Also, no bottom command. Corruption 3, no top command. Middle command, you may flip one face-up covered card. Again, interesting that this can only target covered cards and only face-up ones at that. So most of the time you'll either be looking to convert one of your 1s or 0s without a persistent command into like 2 value, or you'll be turning off your enemy's top commands, which is neat. That's pretty cool. We have no 4 in Corruption. We got your typical 5. And then to top us off, we have the first 6 of our set. Typically 6s tend to come with downsides, or I've heard someone from the Discord refer to them as timing puzzles. All right, so let's see where this goes. Top command. End step, either discard one card or delete this card. Yep, that's pretty brutal, but 6 power is no joke, so I like it. Also keep in mind this card can delete itself, so you can end up activating some of the middle commands of whatever this card was covering. Yeah, this is a super interesting protocol, especially because of the 0. Very true to its namesake, and I love its inclusion in the game. Excellent stuff. All right, next up, Courage, a blaze in the face of adversity. So this is a fun protocol because it almost feels like the name of it should have been overconfidence. Some cards feel like they're trying to say like, yeah, I can take him, or I didn't hear no bell. Like, it's super cool. Let's just get into it. First up, Courage 0. We have all 3 commands here. I'm going to read all of these at once. So top command, start step. If you have no cards in hand, draw 1 card. Middle command, draw 1 card. Bottom command, end step, you may discard 1 card. If you do, your opponent discards 1 card. All right, so it might be a stretch, but I think thematically, this is trying to get across like your endurance. Like, I feel like this, another name for the protocol probably could have just been like, I don't know, combat or something. It just feels like, it feels as if you're not going to run out of gas easily and you won't go down without a fight. All right, Courage 1. And before I go on here, I gotta say I really like the cool sword on the art here. That's a very nice touch. No top command, middle command, delete one of your opponent's cards in a line where they have a higher total value than you do. So this card feels like it's picking a fight in a line where your opponent has the upper hand. I like it. Courage 2, no top command. Middle command, draw 1 card. Bottom command, end step. If your opponent has a higher total value than you do in this line, draw 1 card. So here you're being rewarded for being courageous, I think. This protocol is your front line, people. Be brave. If you're going to play this protocol, be brave. Courage 3, no top or middle command. Bottom command, end step. You may shift this card to the line where your opponent has their highest total value. I like the cohesiveness of this protocol, I've got to say. Like this card is a neat shift, but it does seem a little bit limited, so this one feels hard to evaluate. Also, if your opponent has multiple lines tied for highest total value, you can choose any of those tied lines to shift this to. All right, similar to Corruption 4, we have your typical 5 for Courage. And to round it out, we have Courage 6. Top command, end step. If your opponent has a higher value in this line than you do, flip this card. So at this point, if you want this 6, after all we've gone through, you'd better be winning this fight. So this is what this is saying to me. Like, if you want this 6 value, you'd better get good. Another great protocol to have for the game, although I don't think it'd be one I would particularly gravitate to myself. I gotta say that so far, Main 2 has been excellent, and it's just gonna keep up for a while. The feeling of seeing Main 1 mixed in with Main 2 is just awesome. And honestly, if the game ended on Main 2 and Aux 2, like they never printed a Main 3, I'd be happy with it. We already have so many combinations and so many different possibilities for this game, so I am positively giddy right now. All right, let's move on. All right, next up we have Fear. Run away. That line is for your opponent, by the way, not for you. And we're starting off with a pretty awesome command. Top command here on Fear 0. During your turn, your opponent's cards do not have middle commands. Okay, now this is sick. Basically, during your turn, you don't have to be afraid to return, flip, or delete your opponent's cards and activate their middle commands. Having a protected Fear 0 feels like it could be really powerful. And it synergizes with the immediate command here. Shift or flip 1 card. Now it only targets uncovered cards, but again, being less afraid of the ramifications on your turn is awesome. It's just a very cool card, no auxiliary command. Love this one. Let's move on. Fear 1. Speaking of cool cards, we have Fear 1 here. Now this is a cool card, but it's also probably gonna take first place right now for the most annoying card to play against. Probably unjustified, but this card makes me unreasonably angry when it's played against me. All right, so no top command, middle command here. Draw 2 cards. Your opponent discards their hand and draws the amount of cards discarded -1. Yeah, this never fails to be played against me when I like my hand and I know what I want to play next. And on top of that, now as the opponent, if I have 3 cards, I discard all 3 of them, and then I only get to draw 2 cards back. And in addition, the person who plays Fear 1 gets to draw 2 cards. So I think it's at this point that we got to ask ourselves if maybe the designer of this game might be a little evil, question mark. Also, no bottom command. Fear 2, no top command. Middle command, return one of your opponent's cards. Uncovered cards only. Normally, I'd think this card is kind of lame, but this one has great synergy with Fear 0 and Corruption 1. So with Fear 0, here, let me show that one real quick back on screen. So Fear 0 is the one that makes you less afraid of having to accidentally activating your opponent's middle commands. And then Corruption 1 was the one where if you return cards, they get returned to the top of the opponent's deck instead of their hand. So for those reasons, I think that a card like Fear 2 could be a lot of fun, and I really want to try it with Corruption the first chance I get. No bottom command here. Next up, Fear 3, no top command. Middle command, shift one of your opponent's covered or uncovered cards in this line. So the fact that it can target any opponent card makes me think this card is trying to say, like, you can't hide, like you can't run away from me, which is very cool, very cool. I think main 2 in general might have a lot more ways to manipulate covered cards than in main 1s. I've been noticing a lot of that. Also, no bottom command. Fear 4, your opponent discards one random card. It seems pretty freaking good for a 4. This seems like it's almost always an upside, and a random discard feels like it makes it even better. Like that feels better than just a normal discard for your opponent. Probably one of the best 4s I've seen so far. And then we top it off with our typical 5. Man, we're on a good streak. I've liked every protocol so far, so how long are we gonna keep this up? All right, next up we have one of my personal favorites from the set. This is one of my favorites to play personally, just because I like how blunt and straightforward it feels. This is Ice, cold, strong, and slick. All right, no 0 for Ice, which is quite rare, I think. I think the only protocol so far that we've seen without a 0 is Love, if I'm not mistaken. All right, we begin with Ice 1, and we're already starting off with a pretty sweet command. So no top command, but this middle command here, you may shift this card. So this may seem simple, but this is awesome. You can just play it and immediately shift it. I mean, first off, I like how it feels slippery, like you play it and then it just shoots off, you know, like in a direction. It's pretty sweet. But you can put it on top of a card with a middle command and just activate it just like that. It's such a simple effect, but the implications are awesome. And then we have a bottom command here. After your opponent plays a card in this line, your opponent discards one card. So not only do you get the cool immediate command, but wherever this lands becomes something of a trap so long as it remains uncovered. We're off to a great start. I really like this. Ice 2, no top command. Immediate command here, shift one other card. So this only affects uncovered cards of either yours or your opponent. And no bottom command. Very blunt card, but again, like I hinted at the beginning of this section, I kind of like that fact, so we're just moving on here. All right, Ice 3, top command. End step, if this card is covered, you may shift it. Again, I like how this card feels slippery, like you put a card on top and then all of a sudden it just slips and zooms away. It's also nice that it can happen more than once, though I'm not sure at all how to use this card optimally. We have no middle or bottom command. All right, Ice 4, no top or middle command. Now, I know I said that I like this, but it seems like I haven't had much to say about Ice. Again, it's just because it's so straightforward and that's what I like about it. It's good for my simple mind, but here's another simple card. Bottom of command, this card cannot be flipped. I like how all these cards with such simple effects all manage to kind of portray the idea of ice in different ways. The previous cards all felt slick and slippery. This one just feels more frozen than other cards, you know, like ice. All right, next up we have our typical Ice 5, and to round it out, Ice 6. Top command, if you have any cards in your hand, you cannot draw cards. Now that's a pretty big downside, so you have to be careful with this one. You can, however, refresh or draw if you have an empty hand. Remember, you draw cards in a batch in this game, so if you refresh, you draw all 5 of your cards. You don't just draw one and then all of a sudden have to stop. Again, I gotta reiterate that this is one of my personal favorites from the set, but I don't want anyone to think it's because of the power level. Personally, I think I have a pretty low win rate with it actually, but I doubt it's because of the protocol itself. But yeah, so far so good. I'm loving main 2, and the next protocol, while not one of my personal favorites to play, it's probably objectively just way cooler of a protocol. All right guys, I'm particularly excited for this one because this is easily one of my favorite protocols of the whole set. This is Luck. Roll the dice. So at the beginning I talked about chaos and how it makes games more fun, and clarity, which feels to me like a higher skill ceiling sort of protocol. Well, I think Luck has a little bit of both of those embedded in its DNA, so let's take a look here. First off, we have Luck 0. No top command, middle command, state a number, draw 3 cards, reveal 1 card drawn with the face-up value of your stated number. You may play it. So first off, the card that you play has to be one of the cards that you drew with this effect. And second off, you already see how luck is gonna roll here, but I want to see more cards before I give more of my thoughts here. So no bottom command on this one. Let's move on to the next card. All right, luck 1, no top command. Middle command, play the top card of your deck face down. Flip that card, ignoring middle commands. So from this command, whatever card you get, you only really get the value of the card. I mean, I guess you also get like the top and bottom commands too, but like you don't get to do the immediate command on whatever card you draw. Keep in mind, you only ignore the middle commands of this specific flip. If you happen to cause some sort of weird side effect that would cause a different middle command to go off, you don't ignore those. Also, this command has been errated slightly and now reads, play the top card of your deck face down, flip that card, ignoring its middle effect. So I think they just wanted to make it a little more clear that you don't ignore all middle commands. You're just ignoring middle commands for this flip specifically. Also, no bottom command. All right, luck 2, no top command. Middle command, discard the top card of your deck. Draw cards equal to the value of the discarded card. So you're going to be drawing anywhere between 0 and 6, which is a huge disparity, by the way. And that can make for a lot of hilarious moments when you whiff completely and get like a 0 or a 1. The same can be said about our last card, luck 1, as well. I mean, the potential for hilarity with this protocol is great. But let's take a look at one more card before I give deeper thoughts on this protocol as a whole, because I have a sort of like mini thesis on this protocol. All right, luck 3, immediate command, state a protocol, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. If the discarded card matches the stated protocol, delete 1 card. This only targets uncovered cards. All right, so here's what I have to say about this command and luck as a whole. So far, you can see it's very easy to either get very lucky or very unlucky with any of these commands, and it is absolutely hilarious when those moments happen. However, I've played against people who are very good at tracking where all their cards are, and when you're good at that and you play with other protocols that let you sort of manipulate or track the luck. When I was playing against these people, they basically knew exactly what they were going to get whenever they quote unquote rolled the dice here. So like imagine this with a card like, let's say Clarity 1. So now if you imagine all these cards with a card like Clarity 1, you now know exactly what's on top of your deck, you know, assuming the Clarity 1's out and all that. So that's what I love about this card and all the cards in this protocol in general, is that yes, they seem lucky, but it is possible to tame the luck. And when you do so, when you manage to mitigate that luck and turn it in your favor, this protocol becomes very strong very quickly. It's a super cool aspect of this protocol, I think. I think also, wait, this card's been errated a little bit. So I think the new text reads, state a protocol, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. If the discarded card match the stated protocol, delete 1 card. That doesn't seem very different. Did he just change the word matches to matched? I don't know. Effectively the same thing. No bottom command, but yeah, so far, I mean, I just think this protocol is great. Okay, luck 4. Again, no persistent command here. Middle command. Discard the top card of your deck. Delete 1 covered or uncovered card that shares a value with the discarded card. Again, everything that I just said applies to this card, but man, this card can be funny when you not only whiff a value your opponent has, but you get a value with a card that you have, and then you have to delete one of your own cards. I mean, absolute cinema. And we end with our typical 5. All right, yeah, I said a lot about this one, and I probably should have saved it for like the end here, but this is easily one of my favorite protocols for this game. Like, just fantastic. And our streak of awesome protocols is ongoing. When will it end? All right, well, it's not ending here. Next up, we have Mirror, a reflection of the truth. This is another fun, fairly straightforward protocol, but with a very distinct feel, very evocative. Also, it's just a cool word to include amongst all the other words. So let's see what this one is about. Mirror 0, top command. Your total value in this line is increased by 1 for each of your opponent's cards in this line. All right, so we got another variable 0 to start with. Nice, nice. It fits the theme, of course, but it seems less powerful to me versus a card like Clarity 0, but I could be wrong about that. No middle or bottom command. Mirror 1, no top or middle command. Bottom command here, end step. You may resolve the middle command of one of your opponent's cards as if it were on this card. All right, now this is a really fun card and also a potentially very aggravating card for your opponent. So keep in mind that it can only target uncovered cards with this card, which makes sense since the covered cards, you know, they have their middle commands covered. But also, I need to warn you about some potential anti-synergy here that you can find in just the main 2 box. I highly recommend that you do not play Mirror alongside Fear here, alright? Because these 2 cards do not play nicely together on the same side. If you have Fear 0 out, well, now your opponent doesn't have any middle commands, so your Mirror 1 becomes essentially blanked, you know? So you have been warned. Do not do this. Alright, Mirror 2 has a pretty unique effect. No top command. Middle command. Swap all of your cards in one of your stacks with another one of your stacks. So this is very similar in a lot of instances to just swapping 2 protocols, but there are a couple of nuances here. First off, just keep in mind that when you move a stack, all the cards stay in their relative position to one another. Don't like rearrange the cards within that stack. But more importantly, a stack needs to have at least 1 card in it to be considered a stack in this game. So you can't just move a stack from one line to an empty line on your side. So watch out for that. Alright, Mirror 3, no top command. Middle command, flip one of your cards. Flip one of your opponent's cards in the same line. So these can only affect uncovered cards. And this is a fun effect, but it can sometimes be difficult to find the best time to play it. Or at least I have in my experience. No bottom command here. Alright, Mirror 4. It's not often that the 4 is my favorite card in a protocol, but in this case, it absolutely is. And it's so simple here. So no top or middle command. Bottom command, after your opponent draws cards, draw 1 card. So this is nearly always an upside for fantastic. Remember again that cards are drawn in a batch, so you only draw 1 card if your opponent refreshes, for example. Still, this is a really fun card to have with the potential to make your opponent very nervous when it gets dropped. I love this card. Just feels good to have out. And we end with our typical 5. Alright, so this is a bit of a strange one, and I have a hard time explaining why, but I do find it a lot of fun, and I do like it a lot, probably again because it's fairly straightforward. It feels similar to Ice to me in that regard. I need someone else to tell me what sort of potential Mirror has. I think we're about a little over halfway with the video at this point, so let me just say that if you have anything to add to any of these overviews or you have any rules questions, please feel free to leave a comment. And for the first time ever in a video, I'm gonna ask that you leave a like if you are liking this video, and please go watch the first video if you haven't already. Alright, so I pretty much liked or loved every protocol we've seen so far, and please don't let my opinions taint yours too much. Play every protocol. I want to hear your personal opinions on each protocol, but yeah, my adoration is gonna take a little break here because this is easily my least favorite protocol of the set, but maybe you'll love it. So it's now time for peace, respite, and solace as long as we can. I don't really know how to describe this one, so I'm just gonna go through the cards. Alright, no 0 again like with love. So peace 1, no top command. Middle command, both players discard their hand. So I can imagine already, I mean thematically I imagine, I guess this is kind of like a laying down your hand sort of thing. Like, you know, we're all dropping our weapons. This is the peace part of peace, I feel. Although I feel like it feels a little underhanded here, because at the end here on the bottom command, end step, if your hand is empty, draw 1 card. So they're gonna have to refresh and you get to draw 1 card. A very, very strange card to me. All right, next up we got Piece 2. No top command, draw 1 card, play 1 card face down. So the card you play is from your hand and you'll always have at least 1 card thanks to the first effect. All right, Piece 3, no top command. Middle command, you may discard 1 card, flip 1 card that has a value greater than the number of cards in your hand. So this only targets uncovered cards. You may discard a card, which is nice. It's nice that it's optional, and you only get to flip uncovered cards greater than the amount of cards in your hand, not greater than or equal to, just greater than. So I guess this can never flip a 0. And no bottom command. All right, piece 4. No top or middle commands. Bottom command, after you discard cards during your opponent's turn, draw 1 card. Well, actually, okay, so this is a 1 card right now that I'm like, I feel just, I straightforward like this is a really cool card, because kind of feels like it's a anti-discard card. That's a pretty cool thing. I kind of would like to see more of those cards, actually. We got our typical piece 5 here, or typical discard 1 card, and piece 6, no top or bottom command. Middle command, if you have more than one card in your hand, flip this card. I think for a while I've had a hard time wrapping my head around the theme of this protocol, like, or the way like the mechanics are supposed to represent peace. I guess this card is like punishing you for looking too threatening. I don't know, maybe that's it. I actually have a hard time evaluating this whole protocol. I mean, I don't know why my mind doesn't jive with it, but it just doesn't. So yeah, that was peace. It is a protocol. All right, next up, let's get back on track here. We got smoke, a blanket of obfuscation. Obfuscation. Don't know how to pronounce this word correctly. All right, so you might think this goes good with fire, and I have no idea if it does or doesn't, but smoke seems like it's probably better with other like face down synergy protocols like darkness. I will say that darkness, smoke, apathy is a fun combo to play, though I can't promise you that you're going to win. All right, we begin with Smoke 0, no top command. Immediate command, play the top card of your deck face down in each line with a face down card. So keep in mind, this isn't just looking for your own face down cards. If your opponent has a face down card in the line, that line is eligible for you to play in. Also beware that with cards like this, you don't get to shuffle your deck if your deck doesn't have enough cards in it. You only shuffle your deck when you need to draw. If you try to play cards off the top of an empty deck, you just lose out on that value. Also keep in mind, this card only checks which lines are eligible when you play it. So what I mean by that is, let's say you play this card and only 2 out of the 3 lines that you have actually have face down cards in it. Let's imagine that you play your first face down card on something like Life 3 here. So that says when this card would be covered, first play the top card of your deck face down in another line. And let's imagine you play that face down card in that 3rd line that didn't have a face down card to begin with when you played the Smoke 0. You do not get to play a face down card from Smoke 0 in that new line, because you've missed the window. When the Smoke 0 checked for each line that was eligible, only 2 lines were eligible. Doesn't matter if that 3rd one becomes eligible in the middle of the effect. Okay, so that's just to keep things clean and keep effects clean. It's for the best, so just keep that in mind. The word each in this game checks what's eligible when the effect actually goes off here. And we have no bottom command. Smoke 1, no top command. Middle command, flip one of your cards. You may shift that card. All right, so you have to select one of your uncovered cards. All right, so this is one way to make a face down card, or just flip a nice card face up. And the optional shift is nice. There's also something a little interesting about this card here. So, all right, so the part of the effect can only target uncovered cards. There's nothing unusual about that there. But if between the first and second effect, between the first and second sentence, the card that you flipped somehow becomes covered, and I don't know of a way to do this off the top of my head, but if that happens, you can still shift that card. And the reason is the words this card and that card, I'm gonna oversimplify a little bit, but they basically bypass the whole selection thing. Basically, you can say that this card and that card bypass the whole protection rule, although that's not exactly true, and that's a bit of an oversimplification. But this is why cards like Death 1 can actually delete themselves even if they're covered. If you'd like more information on what's actually going on, you can read the codex entry underneath, I think it's called selection and targeting. For the most part, if you see the words this card and that card, you can just ignore the whole covered uncovered stuff with those effects for the most part. All right, we're done with Smoke 1 here. Let's move on. So Apathy 0, top command, your total value in this line is in, wait, hang on, something's wrong here. There we go. I don't know how that got there. All right, Smoke 2, your total value in this line is increased by 1 for each face down card in this line. So yeah, if you didn't get the joke, Smoke 2 is just a power crept Apathy 0, which almost feels like there's almost no reason to choose Apathy over Smoke, at least if you want to win, but I could be wrong. And again, I still find the Darkness, Apathy, Smoke combo to be a lot of fun to play. This is also interesting because it's a variable value card that has a base value greater than 0, which I'm not sure that we've seen any card like that yet, unless you count something like Darkness 2, I think. So pretty unique in that regard. But yeah, it's just apathy 0 but better. So you know, that's nice. All right, Smoke 3, no top command, middle command. Play one card face down in a line with a face down card. Again, like Smoke 0. This also looks at cards on your opponent's side of the field. So I guess it's like Smoke 0, but with like a higher floor and a lower ceiling, which is pretty neat. No bottom command. Smoke 4, no top command. Immediate effect, shift one covered face down card. A bit of a weird card since it only targets covered face down cards, which are not usually something you care to manipulate as much, especially not with a shift, but that's a good place for a 4, I think. So no real complaints here. I guess the best case scenario is you move a face down to a line that doesn't have a face down yet, so you can really enable your Smoke 0. Finally, we end with our typical Smoke 5. All right, that was Smoke. Pretty cool one again. Glad it's in the game. I really like the idea of full like face down synergy, so great protocol. Let's move on. All right, next up we have a real banger of a protocol in my opinion. This is Time. This is one that I think fits right alongside like Clarity and Luck as far as showing people what you're made of. Forward to the past. Not the coolest tagline we've seen so far, but don't let that fool you. All right, Time 0, no top command, middle command. Play one card from your trash, shuffle your trash into your deck. So already we've got a cool effect because I think this is the only card that lets you play cards from out of your trash. Fun theme here too, kind of like having a card from the past kind of come back with a vengeance. And then essentially rewinding or fast forwarding time, however you want to think about it, until your trash is back into your deck. So great start. I think we need more cards like this to play from your trash because, you know, if you like to play black in Magic the Gathering, you're sorely hurting for this sort of thing. All right, Time 1, no top command, middle command. Flip one covered card, discard your entire deck. Man, what a powerful line there. That feels as courageous and bold as like any card from Courage, I swear. It's just discard your whole deck. Just, you're unafraid here. Also great synergy if you manage to play this before you put down Time 0. Basically play any card you want. So if you know what you're doing, I bet you can do some real damage with this protocol. No auxiliary command. Time 2, persistent command. After you shuffle your deck, draw one card and you may shift this card. This card has been errated slightly to make them 2 sentences on future printings. So the after you shuffle your deck, draw one card, then period, and then you may shift this card. If somehow Time 2 becomes covered after the draw here, it can still shift since it uses the language this card. If there are any cards in your trash, you may shuffle your trash into your deck. That was the middle command. Once again, we got that rewind / fast forward theme going on, so very fun. No bottom command. All right, Time 3, no top command, middle command. Reveal one card from your trash. Play it face down in another line. All right, so this card kind of has funny wording to me. I think it's funny to use the word reveal here when referring to your trash, because I mean your trash is already public information, but basically just pick a card and of course, you know, let your opponent see what card because it's public information. For the second line, play it face down in another line. So the term another line here is referring to a line, the line that Time 3 is not in or was not played in. So you can't use the face down card from this effect to protect the Time 3 that you just played. All right, Time 4, no top command, immediate command, draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards. Very straightforward, feels perfect for a 4. If you manage to cover it before the second line goes off, you only just draw 2 cards. Feels like it gives you a little more control of the cards in your trash, maybe before you shuffle them back into your deck. So overall, just really good 4, especially for the protocol. And we end with your typical 5. All right, so this is a really cool protocol to have in the game, and it's for the same reason that I really like having Clarity and Luck in the game. I think this just kind of feels like another high potential, high skill ceiling kind of protocol. Like I have a feeling you'll see a lot of cool plays come out of it. The thematic implications and playing out of your trash is also really cool, and I hope to see more of that in the future. And if you like playing black in Magic the Gathering, then you know you'll get the appeal, especially from that one card. We need more. We need more. Please give us more. We need more graveyard love. All right, and it's time for the last protocol of main 2. After this, we'll be getting into the Aux 2 protocols. War is a very interesting protocol. Raging conflict, but to what end? It's actually so interesting that I'm going to have to present this one a little differently. I'm going to show you most of the cards and talk about them all at once, and you'll see why in a bit. Alright, so War 0. Persistent effect, after you refresh, you may flip this card. Note that this can flip itself even if it is covered because of the phrase this card, which is great because you can turn it into 2 value once the auxiliary command is no longer in play. No middle command here, and bottom command, after your opponent draws cards, you may delete 1 card. That targets only uncovered card. Okay, that's a pretty cool command, and we're going to talk about it here in a second, but let's go right into the next few cards. War 1, no top or middle commands. After your opponent refreshes, discard any number of cards and refresh. Clear War 0 synergy here. War 2, no top command, middle command, flip 1 card, must be uncovered. Bottom command, after your opponent compiles, your opponent discards their hand. War 3, no top command, middle command, draw 1 card. Bottom command, after your opponent discards cards, you may play 1 card face down. Alright, so we'll pause here. And as you can see, here, let me fix the camera a little bit. So as you can see, all 4 of these first command cards have an auxiliary command here at the bottom that is watching for something your opponent does. And I find this super interesting for the protocol all around. If you don't rearrange your protocols very often, you'll usually have to work to get multiple auxiliary commands happening at once. I really like the idea of having to time these cards in such a way to get maximum value. I've seen a lot of people have success with this, especially with the 0, which can be very scary. What was that one? After your opponent draws cards, you may delete 1 card. Yeah, that's brutal. That is a brutal effect. But all of these are very cool. So this is just a really interesting design for the protocol, and it's less to do with the commands themselves and more like their arrangement and the general like pattern that they follow. So this is a very, very interesting protocol. I kind of was underwhelmed by War at first, but I've come around on it. I think this is a really, really cool way to do things. All right, War 4. No top command, middle command. Your opponent discards 1 card. I mean, that's nice and simple and pretty good for 4, I think. So yeah, can't complain about that. And then we got your typical 5. Yeah, so there we go. One more great protocol. What an interesting design. And I gotta say, main 2 has knocked it out of the park, I think. I could never imagine playing without main 2 at this point. And we're not even done. We still got 3 more protocols to go with Aux 2, so let's check them out. We're into Aux 2, and we're starting off by getting pretty weird. Assimilation, complete exchange and understanding. To me, this feels like a very chaos adjacent protocol, and you will probably agree when you see the cards. Let's take a look. Alright, Assimilation 0. No top command, immediate command. Put one of your opponent's covered or uncovered cards into your hand. I mean, well, that's just insane to start out with, right? Is it not? You just take a card from your opponent from the field. You basically get to delete a card and you get to draw it at the same time. Absolutely insane. Like, what the heck? Actually, what the heck? What is going on here? I am very excited and scared to have Assimilation in my games, and we're not even close to done yet. Keep in mind, this is not a draw, by the way, since it uses the word put, and no bottom command. All right, moving on to Assimilation 1. No top command, middle command, discard 1 card, refresh. All right, nice and easy so far. Bottom command, after a player refreshes, draw the top card of your opponent's deck, discard 1 card into their trash. All right, again, this just seems kind of freaking crazy, dude. So yes, you're technically trading 1 card for another with your opponent. That's similar to kind of like some of the things Love does. However, you get to draw the top card of their deck, so they don't get the choice of what card they give you. And also, you get the choice of what card you give them. And not only that, the card that you choose to give them goes into their trash. I mean, worst case scenario, if you don't like what you draw, this is a convoluted discard here at the bottom, on top of the discard that you get from the immediate command. So it's basically like discard 2, along with a refresh. Dude, I'm scared. I'm imagining a game with this, Chaos, Love, Luck for Supreme, just anarchy. I hope anarchy is going to be a protocol one day too, so we can add that into the mix. But dude, this is hopefully it's not as strong as I'm making it out to be. It just seems strong. It just seems either strong or annoying to play against. All right, Assimilation 2, no top or middle commands. Auxiliary command here. End step, play the top card of your opponent's deck face down in this stack. All right, so yep, there it is, more chaos. So this shouldn't keep on happening since it'll cover itself with your opponent's card, but this does steal yet more cards. you know, when you take the whole protocol into consideration. By the way, people are wondering, it is possible to not have a deck or trash or a hand because the opponent has stolen so many cards. It has happened to me and it made me very sad, and it is a core memory of mine. The official ruling, last I checked, is if you're ever in that position, you end up just skipping your turn. So if you can't refresh, you can't play a card, you just skip your turn. Personally, I think the rule might as well just be that you lose the game at that point, because I mean, if that ever happens to me again, I'm just conceding on the spot. All right, Assimilation 4. No top command. Middle command. Draw the top card of your opponent's deck. Your opponent draws the top card of your deck. Okay, so at a glance, this almost feels like a better Chaos Zero since it's worth 4. But keep in mind that Chaos Zero is an end effect, so that happens every turn. This only happens to one time. But just like Chaos Zero, this seems ripe for some Spirit 3 shenanigans. Let me pull up Spirit 3 again. Where did that card go? Guys, my desk is a mess of cards right now. Here it is. After you draw cards, you may shift this card even if it is covered. So yeah, if you manage to cover that second line, that is just a one-time steal from your opponent. I shouldn't be telling you guys this. Oh God, what am I doing? All right, we got our typical 5 here for Assimilation, and then the 6, no top or middle command, bottom command. Play the top card of your deck face down on your opponent's side. So this feels very similar to Gravity 6 to me, and it's offset a little bit by the fact that you'll have taken many of your opponent's cards. Dude, what the heck is this? What is this? Seems like an insane protocol. I have no idea what to think. I'm hoping it's not as crazy as it seems at first glance. Maybe, hopefully it's not as strong as it looks. Very cool art, by the way. I like that. I like that. Because otherwise, I can see for a lot of very anger-inducing games. But again, the meme potential is very high and cannot be ignored. So for that reason, I'm quite happy to have this. All right, next up on our Ox2 journey, we have diversity. Our differences are our strength. I really like this one since the general theme is having as many different protocols out on command cards as possible. Let's take a look. All right, diversity 0, no persistent command. Immediate command here. If there are 6 different protocols on cards in the field, flip the diversity protocol to the compiled side. Now this is a very unique command in effect that we haven't seen anything like this up until this point. For the first time so far, we have another means of compiling a protocol. All right, a few things to note. It may be obvious, but face down cards don't count towards this as they aren't considered to have a protocol. Also, it looks like you just flip the card to the compiled side. This is not a compile action, meaning you don't delete the line like with a normal compile, nor do you draw an opponent's card if it already happens to be compiled. Really cool. I wonder how hard this really is. Like, I wonder how asleep at the wheel your opponent has to be to let this happen. It also kind of sucks if you already have the diversity compiled, so I guess be sure to compile your other 2 protocols first. And this line here in the field suggests that this card cares about all cards in play, not just, you know, covered or uncovered cards. It's all of them, so covered and uncovered cards. There is more though. We still have the bottom here. So bottom end step, you may play 1 non-diversity card in this line. So that's nice, at least. It's basically a free card play at the end of the turn. Almost kind of sort of like a pseudo bootleg speed 0, I guess. But regardless, it's a very cool and unique card and I am here for it. Diversity 1, no top command. Immediate command, shift 1 card, draw cards equal to the number of different protocols on cards in this line. So this specifically targets uncovered cards. I feel like I haven't had to make that clear as much throughout this video as the last one. Either I've been forgetting or there's been a lot less straightforward like flips, shifts, and returns in this set. Which isn't a bad thing. It might not even be a true thing, but it is very interesting if it is true. It looks like this card doesn't say other cards, so it can probably shift itself. Actually, you probably want to do that most of the time, since if you shift another card onto this, you don't get the second sentence here. No auxiliary command for diversity 1. All right, diversity 3, your top command, your total value in this line is increased by 2 if there are any non-diversity face-up cards in this stack. Okay, a couple interesting things here. So this is a variable value card, but this is the first I think we've seen that is kind of like a binary value. So this is either a 3 or a 5. Getting it to 5 also doesn't seem too hard. Man, I gotta say I love the theming on diversity and how mechanically it all comes together. Very cool 3. No immediate or auxiliary command here. All right, diversity 4. All right, diversity 4. I tend to like the 4, so I hope I like this one because I'm liking diversity so far. No persistent command. Immediate command here. Flip 1 card with a value less than the number of different protocols on cards in the field. So a flip on an uncovered card. It looks like it can never target a 6. Not my favorite 4, but certainly not bad. I like it. We have our typical diversity 5 here, and then we'll round things off with diversity 6. Top command: if there are not at least 4 different protocols on cards in the field, delete this card. I mean, what else could the 6 actually have been? This is the perfect 6 for this protocol, so just excellent. No immediate or bottom command. Man, I love how this protocol really just hooks on to like one mechanical idea and sends it with each card. This one really knocks it out of the park for me. And remember, I'm not rating on power level or viability with any of these protocols here. I'm strictly talking about cool factor. By the way, it's important to note, because the whole point of this video is to see what you get in the box, right? And I'm sure they'll fix this on future printings. But this is the only one. I guess it was a mistake here where both sides, neither side has the like pixelation effect going on. So usually this side will have like the pixelation thing going on here. Like, let me grab another one. So here you can see Assimilation with like the pixelated art, and then on the back you have the unpixelated version. Yeah, you don't have that on this one, so it's not a big deal at all. I mean, the big loading here is pretty obvious, and the compiled here, you'll never get it confused, but it's just something to note. I just want people to know what they're getting, you know. That's all that matters. All right, and we got one more. This is Unity. Guys, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm freaking tired right now. Man, this is taking a long time, but we are almost done. One more to go, and this is our last and definitely not our least. That one goes to peace for me. Together we are strong. So presumably this deck is ape themed. I think this is a protocol for people who like tribal synergies, you know. So like in Magic, if you play elves or merfolk, for example, we get just a little hint of that here. Let's take a look. All right, Unity 0, I am getting delirious. All right, top command, there is none. Middle command: if there is another Unity card in the field, either flip one card or draw one card. All right, the fact that it has to be another Unity card is very interesting, and you can already probably get an idea of how this protocol is going to roll for the next one. It's basically going to be like diversity again, but instead of wanting different protocols, it's just going to want more Unity cards. I like that this is also a flexible decision here, so you can either flip one uncovered card or draw one card. And then on the bottom effect, we have when this card would be covered by a Unity card, first either flip one card or draw one card, so you get it again. Again, it has to be covered by a Unity card. So this is, yeah, I can already tell this is the kind of protocol that I would like. Unity 1, we have the whole gamut of commands here. Top command, start step: if this card is covered, you may shift this card. So kind of similar to Ice 3, but it happens at the start instead of the end. Middle command: if there are 5 or more Unity cards in the field, flip the Unity protocol to the compiled side and delete all cards in that line. And now this is similar to Diversity 0, except that this one deletes the whole line. I wonder why. I don't know why the 0 didn't. I'm kind of curious about that. So this makes it a little closer to your typical compile action. Bottom command here: Unity cards may be played face up in this line. So that we can see why the top command is so important. So you can keep on sliding this guy out so you can reveal this bottom here, so you can put Unity cards down in this line. Dang, what a fun card. I mean, I like that this just kind of keeps on bouncing around and tells the other Unity cards like, over here, over here. Unity 2, no top command. Middle command: draw cards equal to the number of Unity cards in the field. Very straightforward. I like it. No bottom command. Next, Unity 3, no top command: if there is another Unity card in the field, you may flip one face-up card. Uncovered face-up cards only. This is a very simple protocol, I'm finding, and hopefully by now, if you watched through this whole video, you know what that means. It means I freaking like it. This is good stuff. No bottom command. Next up, we have Unity 4. This will be our last unique card of the video. Let's hope it's a strong one. Unity 4, top command and step: if your hand is empty, reveal your deck, draw all Unity cards from it, and shuffle your deck. Holy yes, this is a great 4 to end on. It seems fantastic for a 4. Helping with the rest of the protocol by drawing your Unity cards. I mean, just drawing you cards in general, right? But I mean, the fact that it's just drawing you cards in general, but the fact that it's also drawing you those Unity cards to help you with the protocol, I mean, that does it. I'm playing this protocol as soon as I get the chance when this video is over. And finally, we end on our very familiar, very cozy Unity 5. All right, so between Unity and Diversity, I'd probably lean towards wanting to play Unity. I like the tribal idea of cards that all care about and boost each other like in other card games, and just, you know, another great protocol to end on. So, all right. Oh my gosh, that was a lot. I am so tired right now. Honestly, I just showed 15 new protocols and I liked or loved at least 14 of them, that seems pretty good. And I doubt the last one is even bad. It just wasn't for me. So this is a great box. Like I said, having this and main 1 together just feels so good. I mean, this game to me, there's this other game from back, I guess it was from back in the day. I don't know if they are still printing more sets of it, but Smash Up, I'm sure some of you have heard of Smash Up before. Is this game where another lane battler where you could take like aliens and zombies and mash them together and make a deck out of them. But I never really liked Smash Up that much, and to me, Compile just feels like a much nicer, like a Smash Up for me. Like it just feels like a cooler Smash Up, to be honest. So now with having all these main 1 and main 2, if you like the possibilities for like so many different kinds of games, so many games that feel so different from each other, it's just awesome. And like if you do something like you draft or you pick out like 8 random protocols from all of your like 30 now, and you guys only draft from that, you have the potential for a whole bunch of different kind of games. That the replayability here is crazy. And on the one of the latest tabletop simulators, they have like a random button, so you can just like draw random protocols. And we did that once and had so much fun. That's how we ended up with that game that was just like chaos and love and assimilation and luck or whatever. It was just nonsense. It was a nonsense game, but it was hilarious. So, all right, a few more things before we end the video. Once again, if you liked the video or if you have any questions on anything I said, or if I said something wrong, please just let me know or leave a comment. And please go ahead and leave a comment and leave a like on the last video if you haven't already. This is the first time in any video I'm actually asking for likes or comments, so I'm trying to take this a little more seriously. Don't worry about subscribing though. We're not ready for that yet. I'll occasionally post more compiled content, but I'll mostly post it on my other channel. So I have it actually here in the background playing. So live wire sessions, if you can go to my channel here and go to the bottom and you can find it. And I'll post like more casual compiled content and games there throughout the years. So if you want to see more compiled content and we want to see people playing main 2, like what do we got right now? This is Chaos, Fire, Courage versus Clarity, Luck, Hate. Yeah, so if you want to see something like that, go ahead and go to live wire sessions. Also, if you want to play online on Discord with other people, you can go to the official Discord. First off, go to the official Compile Discord, which I'll put in the description below. And there's one particular mod for Tabletop Simulator someone put out recently that I love. It's not what you see on the screen here. I need to actually put out a game with this mod because it is really well done. I donated to the guy. I think everyone who plays on this mod should. It's just really well done. It actually tracks. I don't know if it does a perfect job, but it tracks for the most part like what the value is of each line for each side, which is just a godsend for me. So I'll put that in the description. Okay, I think that's everything. That's all I got. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day. I hope you have a good year, because I'm doing this on New Year's. Come play on the Discord. Come play with me on the Discord. And all right, that's all I got. Thank you guys. Have a nice time.